everyone, and welcome to our Ed Talks at the Canam studio today. We have with us Thomas Young from Memorial University. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Thomas, what's the highlight of Memorial University? You can talk about your various campuses, the location, and the choice of programs they offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So Memorial University of Newfoundland has multiple campuses. I primarily represent two of them. Specifically, that's the St. John's campus in the city of St. John's and the Grenfell campus in the city of Corner Brook. I'll talk about Grenfell campus first because that's where I'm personally based out of. We are a very, very small campus. We only have about 1,400 students in a city of about 20,000 people. And we specialize, well, we have a wide variety of programs in the arts, sciences, business, fine arts, and environment. But the three areas that we mainly specialize in, unique from the St. John's campus, are the environmental programs, including environmental sustainability, the English as a Second Language program, which is for students who don't quite meet our IELTS results, and we also have the fine arts program, including both theater and visual arts. One big thing about the Grenfell campus as well, even though business isn't really one of the, I'll say like the flagship programs that we have, the big thing with our business program relative to other business programs in Canada is that our business program, our BBA, does not require mathematics for admission. So if you're coming from the Indian curriculum, specifically from a commerce background and have not studied mathematics, you may be eligible to enter our business program. Shifting about 700 kilometers east of our location, you have the St. John's campus. It is much bigger, about 15,000 students in a city of about 100,000 people with another 100,000 in the surrounding area. It's a much more urban campus, and I say that with a bit of a chuckle in my head because I recognize that you know, the definition of urban in Canada and India is very, very different from one another. But basically, the campus is located right in the middle of the city. You've got your hospital 5 minutes one direction, you've got your mall 5 minutes the other direction, and then everything else is going to be a short bus ride or cab ride away from the campus. So very urban sort of environment for studying. St. John's campus has programs, again, in the arts, the sciences. They have a commerce program that does require mathematics for admission. It's also home to our computer science program and our engineering faculty, which are both very, very popular among Indian applicants.
Yeah. So would you tell us something about Atlantic Canada, because that's the area where Memorial is located, and what are the kind of jobs of the future there, and how do your programs align with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming to Atlantic Canada, now I should preface this with I'm not an immigration advisor. I can't really go into the specific details here. But coming to Atlantic Canada, we have access to something called the Atlantic Immigration Program, which is basically one of the fastest routes for obtaining permanent residency through economic pathways in the country right now. So if you graduate from Memorial University, you apply for your postgraduate work permit, and then go on to apply for permanent residency, you may be able to avail of that program, provided that you meet all the requirements for it. I do encourage you to do the kind of a bit of the research on that. But if you are having a little bit of difficulty with kind of learning about some of that information, what you can do, we actually have on-staff immigration advisors as well who can basically transition you from the student point to the post-grad work permit and help with those sorts of pathways. In terms of what that means for careers, I mean, the thing with studying a university degree is that in addition to your academics, you do need to get really, really involved in the community. You want to kind of build your resume and try to build as much professional experience as you can and do as much networking as you can. Being a small university with small class sizes, we give students the opportunity to really network with professors who can potentially link you with professionals in the field and basically make those connections that will help you transition from student to worker after you graduate. So that's definitely a big advantage. Just speaking personally, I did the historical studies program. My smallest class had 4 students in it. So aside from getting to know my classmates really well, I got to know the professor extremely well. And to this day, I still am in regular communication with him about just anything and everything related to the program and otherwise.
Awesome. So do you have co-ops in your programs, and should students really look at co-op as a great opportunity?
Absolutely, yeah. So we do have co-op as an automatic default part of 2 of our programs, the Bachelor of Commerce and the Bachelor of Engineering. Now, if you take the co-op option for commerce, that does increase the duration of the program to 5 years, and for engineering, by default, that program is 5 years as well. However, that does give you a great deal of work experience. For commerce, it's 3 mandatory placements. For engineering, it's 4 mandatory placements. So by the time you graduate, you've got 3 or 4 sets of professional experience. You've networked with professionals in the field and in the industry. And of course, most students will typically go on to work with the places that they do their co-op placements with, because they've built up this experience, and employers who are the professionals in the field, they are going to be more willing to hire someone that they've personally trained rather than hiring externally.
All right. So, do you assist students with the postgraduate work permit process as well, and jobs for that period?
Absolutely. So we do have, like I said, immigration advisors on staff who can assist with the postgrad work permit process. Basically, you can book an appointment with them through the internationalization office if you're at the St. John's campus, or through the student services department at the Grenfell campus. They'll help you with that end of things. In terms of employment, the St. John's campus does have several career advisors who you can talk to about transitioning in, and Grenfell is actually in the process of hiring one at the moment, and that person should be in the position by, I believe, next month. So we will have that at both locations.
And the most important question that students ask about fees and scholarships?
Absolutely, yeah. So being in Atlantic Canada, so as a general rule,
and the living cost, actually.
Yes, of course,
yes.
of course. As a general rule, if you're looking for the lower end of living costs in Canada, I would say that the Atlantic provinces, for both tuition and living costs, I would say that the Atlantic provinces generally have among the lower rates. A typical annual budget for either campus, I would put in the range of about 35,000 Canadian dollars. So for the Grenfell campus, usually it's somewhere between 30 and 35,000. For St. John's, I usually say 35 to 40,000. It's just a difference in housing costs largely. That would be a total budget. That's not just tuition, that's your meals, that's your accommodations, your books, your supplies, your health insurance, living expenses, pretty much everything altogether is going to come into that 35,000 range. The only things that wouldn't be factored into that amount would be your flights to and from Canada. And if you were to stay during the spring and summer, I'd probably budget for probably another 15% more or so, just to accommodate for the extra rent and the extra meals for that span. In terms of scholarships, we do have entry scholarships valued at 6,500 Canadian dollars. So when a student applies, we don't actually have a scholarship application process. We basically automatically evaluate any student who applies for the September intake before March 1st for scholarship status. The number of scholarships does vary from year to year, but the amount typically remains at 6,500. The scholarships are exclusively based on academic merit. So we look at your grades and we base it on the top percentage of students basically who have applied for the September intake.
Okay, and then come to the final question. Students who are looking to apply, what would you suggest to them, that should they apply through education consultants, authorized education consultants such as Canam, who've been in the industry for, we've been in the industry for almost 3 decades now?
Absolutely, yeah. So step one, I think, is to just do a little bit of preliminary research into the Canadian landscape, into your career options and things like that. Take that to Canam, and they will help you with the full process. As a representative from a university, I know personally that it can be very, very difficult to find an ethical, honest, and licensed agency that helps with immigration and with study programs. As a student, it's 10 times more difficult because they don't have the background in kind of parsing out which agencies are actually doing the work that needs to be done. Having been in this industry for 4 years myself, I can say without a doubt Canam is one of the most trusted agencies that we have on our roster. They are authorized with RCIC, with CICC. They will help you select a school, whether that's our school. Ideally, it would be our school, but I mean any school that works with Canam knows they can vouch for Canam's skill. They'll help you with the application process, and then they'll help you with your study permit and your student visa. Cannot recommend getting that information enough, because there is a lot of bad information out there, even from friends and family. So make sure that you're talking to someone who knows what they're talking about, and Canam is that group.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for being with us today and giving us all these inputs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.